It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And welcome to another wonderful episode of Behind the Mask. I'm Eugene, as always, and we are missing my partner tonight, which is Dennis. He's not missing. He wasn't abducted or anything like that, but he was occupied tonight. So we have a special guest tonight, which is really cool. I'm excited about this one. This is someone who I have not seen in a long time. But if you guys know paintball and have been around for as long as I have, you know who this person is. And we're going to bring her in. She is awesome. She helped me out a long time ago with when I had my first child, and she's got a huge heart. Her and her husband are like the greatest. So without further ado, let me see if I could.
I got it. I'm in.
Got it. You're on.
I'm here.
Introducing to you guys is Bea Youngs Paxson. She is amazing. Round of applause. Yes. Thank you.
Give it up.
Bea, it's awesome that you're on with us. I mean, you literally are the first guest that we are having. So this is really cool.
Snap. I'm debuting the Behind the Masks return, making a comeback. And are you going to make this mostly about paintball? Or are you going to do other things that you require wearing a mask, like a COVID mask?
Yeah, right now everyone is wearing a mask, so we're all behind the mask.
We're all behind the mask.
I am waiting for the day that we don't need the mask.
Please, Jesus, help us. It's actually been a blessing in disguise. You know, if you look at some of the benefits and a lot of quality time with my daughters and my husband even, you know, and so it's been a lifestyle change, and even remotely doing work and then the access of Zoom. We should have got some stock in Zoom, you know? We would be rich right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If I would have seen this coming, I would have definitely thrown some dollars down, and I wouldn't be wearing
Who'd
this.
Who'd have thunk? But it definitely did. It did put a big halt, obviously, in the paintball scene. But surprisingly, we still stayed afloat. And even with Destiny and the growth that we've seen, especially within the last couple of years, it still is growing. And the slowdown actually helped us kind of come up with a better structure even for the foundation of Destiny. So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, cool. I like we were speaking about a little bit earlier today, I just started getting back into it this year. Actually, a couple months ago. I had no idea that fields had been still open the whole time this is going on, but it made sense since we do wear a mask. We're not on each other when we're playing.
Well, and like if you do anything aerobically, you know, and even in as this kind of got figured out, you know, and we progressed into trying to channel how we're going to go about doing at least exercise. But if you're outdoors and you're still staying, you know, 6 feet away from everyone, and you're wearing a mask, you know, of course there's holes in it, but some fields did ask that, you know, wear the COVID mask underneath your goggles.
Oh, wow.
And that was kind of, not very comfortable. I actually did an event, Fold a Gap, and that was on the East Coast. And I actually did that because my mother-in-law was very afraid of me bringing it home. So I had to be very conscious of, you know, cleanliness in the best way possible, because paintball is kind of a messy sport.
Yeah. You get a little bit dirty. I mean, just a little.
So you're going to be playing again, and you're going to be doing this behind the mask. What about Sunday paintball? Are you going to kind of bring that back as well?
That is a little bit of a touchy subject.
Is it? Did you have partners?
Yeah, that
okay.
kind of... That dissolved.
Say no more.
Stepped away from that.
Let's do Saturday paintball.
There we go. Now we are Saturday paintball with Behind the Mask. But this is the one thing Saturday that I was able to keep my hands on. So I'm kind of going forward with this.
Awesome.
But
I missed you guys.
Believe me, we've missed all of you guys. Well, I missed all of you guys because for me, paintball was a huge thing. The other guys, it was something that they started getting into. but this definitely was a huge part of my life, and it still is. But enough about that. We want to know more about you. And I saw a post on your Instagram that had an old picture of you, and it said, ask you about your time that you moved to LA to be a backup singer. I want to hear the story.
Oh, snap. Okay. Back in around 1998, I graduated from the University of Florida in human resource development. And I was already working for a computer software company at the time. And I just got introduced to paintball through a really good friend of mine named Tammy Pickering Adamson. Her and her husband owned Extreme Rage. And I actually went to middle school and high school with her. So we have like deep history that go back many, many years. And we've had our ups and downs, and thank God for a real friendship, because we still continue to love one another, you know. But I always give thanks to Todd and Tammy for introducing me to this community. And initially, I wanted to actually go into the Air Force. And I was standing in front of the ROTC building, talking to everybody there about, I'm going to graduate this year, and I'm kind of thinking about, you know, going into officer candidate school. And I made a phone call to my father right in front of that building and said, hey, Dad, I want to sign up, I think. And he was like, man, you don't have to do that. And he was actually in the U.S. Army. And that's where he met my Korean mother in South Korea, in Busan. And yeah, and the rest is history, right? And here I am and my brother and all that good stuff. But anyway, and Dad's like, you don't have to do that. And so then when she introduced me to paintball, I was like, hold on just a minute. Hey, BB, you got to be quiet, honey. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. My 11-year-old daughter wants to say hello. She's wearing her paintball gear.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Destiny Army, Planet Eclipse pants, and a Sandana beanie. But yeah, so then Tammy introduced me to the idea of paintball. And my first thought was, what? It's in the woods. I'm wearing military garb. And I was like, Tammy, man, my dad just shut me down. Like, I wanted to do that stuff and wear the garb and all that fun stuff and go fight for my country. And then she was like, no, B, you got to come look at the concept fields. So once I saw that, and I saw the inflatable bunkers, and then I saw even the fan that still was in the bunkers and putting air inside. That's what intrigued me to like the sport. I was like, dude, this is so different. I really want to try this out. So then next thing you know, I was actually leaving for California to be a musician and playing on Femme Fatale. And I was probably maybe a year and a half, 2 years into the paintball realm. As a rookie, I went straight into the paintball scene, never played a walk-on day in my life. It was strictly just to train for tournament paintball. And I was still singing. I was DJing at the time, and dancing, and even doing rehearsals at my church, and then doing my demos to try to get it out to people. And then I said, Dad, I want to drive to California right now. And I want to move there so I could try to make it in the music business. So he jumped in the car with me. I love my father so much. 38 hours later, went from Florida to California, and he dropped me off in San Diego, flew out of SDA, or SAN, I think it's called, San Diego's airport code. And then I was trying to find a job while I was still trying to get into this music thing. And I got a position at JTUSA as their promotions coordinator, working alongside Chuck Hench, who's the director of marketing. And they knew about my entertainment background, about my purpose there in California. And so I had some really good ideas and contributions to JT's. Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Hey girl, I'm on a podcast right now. So it's with Behind the Mask. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
And Sunday Clothing and Eugene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who it is. I'll call you back though, right after this. Because we're recording, right guys? Okay, yeah. Sorry. I will. So that was Rachel Shadell. And you remember her as Chemo.
Oh yeah.
And we played professional paintball back in the day. And now she's working with me on building destiny.
Nice.
And we're going to continue to grow bigger and bigger because of her. But that's a whole other story. Music business and entertainment. So I applied my entertainment background to what JT was working on. And I did Warped Tour. We did a lot of cross marketing with even doing stuff with Rocky Cagnoni and doing the motocross. Was it X Games, right? With Travis Pastrana. Yeah. And we did this thing where we brought Rocky, and I was in charge of him, and Lisa Harvey at the time was with us too. And we met Vanilla Ice, and he was one of the guys that was doing this thing I think it was for charity, but there were some pretty significant people there. And we were cross marketing our paintball athlete who also knew how to ride a motorcycle. And these are some of the cool things that we did, including me even going on like Junkyard Wars TLC and doing a segment where they were building these paintball tanks. And I didn't really have any fear to get in front of a camera because, again, I grew up, dancing, singing, playing the piano, French horn, cheerleader, et cetera, et cetera. And so all that finally led to me wanting to be a fly girl, like I thought I was going to be like J-Lo, and sing backup for Madonna. And literally I didn't want to be a frontliner. I just wanted to still feel the audience's vibe and the energy without being picked on, because you're always going to get some hate from people, but never the backup singers, right? Who talks about the backup singers? You could still do the stuff in the back, and still feel the happiness. But, I just have a hard time like dealing with people not liking me. And still to this day, I'm still learning how to just get over it, B. You're 47 years old, get over it. But yeah, and it's weird because when I debuted my career in paintball, it was like 6 months after that God blessed me with sponsorship because I was broke. I was so poor, even coming out of college, still paying. I finally paid off my debt, by the way, just last year from college.
Gosh.
So yeah. So I was pretty broke, trying to play a luxurious sport, i.e. paintball. And I tried to come up with ways that I could earn the product without having to pay money. I said, hey, I know how to DJ. I can MC your event. I could sing the national anthem. I can open it up and make it very entertaining for y'all. What do you think? And so Smart Parts, Graham Easton was the guy that actually picked me up first. And that's when I did that cool poster that really kind of put me on the paintball map. So the whole artist thing, like the dream kind of died when the manager I had at the time did something kind of bad. And it was illegal. I don't really want to tell all the details, just in case he's listening. And I don't even want to mention his name. But things happen for a reason, and even amidst that tragedy where I felt devastated, I was so embarrassed that I didn't even want to tell my parents what happened. I even quit my job at JT after being there for a year. And I had kind of been promoted to being a director of marketing there. But they weren't paying me the director of marketing salary. And it was expensive to live in La Jolla,
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up just making the decision to try this music business. And the FBI came and knocked on the door and everything. That's how bad it was. And then here's Mike Paxson, who I was kind of dating at the time. I was flirting with him, but I was kind of a mean person to him because I really didn't want to be in a relationship. But he still managed to put up with my moodiness and me just being rude, because again, I didn't want to fall in love with him, but I ended up falling in love with the big bear, who actually taught me a majority of my paintball knowledge, from building an autococker and breaking it down and putting it back together again. And he saved me from that situation, moved out of his house, got us a place to move into together. Again, me broke as F, like it was terrible. And I couldn't tell my parents, but I always say that Mike was kind of like my savior in that respect. But my parents were okay about it, with me too. I have 2 state university degrees, right? I got an AA from Florida State, and then I got my BS from UF. And then my parents were expecting me, I think, to really go far, especially within this music business. And I realized at that time that paintball was my platform. and that I could apply my talents into this scene. And next thing I know, again, paintball.com, I was a blogger for them. Now you're vloggers, right? But back then it was blogging. And I was writing articles for all the major magazines. You name it, I probably have written one article for every single paintball magazine ever in existence, from APG all the way to now paintball.media, which is pretty much the last magazine standing, paintball magazine standing.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah. So again, I still sing. I sing at church, sometimes I'll mess around on my social media and try to live that life. But I really do love my life in paintball, and I love my family and just doing our thing now here in Montana. So I hope that answers your question about, tell me a little bit about your music experience.
That tells me a lot. I mean, you've done, just from hearing this, you've done a ton of stuff, and you've done a ton for the paintball industry in general. I mean, your face was everywhere. I remember that poster that you were talking about back in the day.
Yeah.
And also just seeing you at events that I would go to and be like, oh my gosh, that's Bea Youngs. I was like, I'd be nervous to even ask you for a picture long before I even started Sunday Clothing. I did take a picture with you a long time ago, right before we started that. So I didn't even know who you, or you didn't even know who I was, but it was really cool to meet you. And then your husband too was a huge thing to me. And I looked up to him when he played. And even I followed Femme Fatales. I followed Iron Man. Those were really teams that I knew about. And your husband is a huge bear. I still would be scared.
Yeah. What's special about Mike is he's loyal to the core. And it's funny because I always kind of look at him like he could have been a really good soldier, and he actually was at the recruitment office about to enlist.
Oh, wow.
And because the recruitment guy was so mean to him, like an a-hole, he was like, you know what, if it's going to be like this at boot camp, especially, I don't want to be a part of this, which is a shame because he could have done a lot of good. But at the same time, he's done still to this day a lot of good for the paintball community.
Yeah.
His ideas and the things that he's done as a champion, but also as the coach, mentoring and even teaching today's pros that are in the scene still to this day. I feel like Mike's kind of one of the most underrated professional players, because I used to get kind of like, man, Mike, you've been with Dye for this long. And I just felt like he probably should have gotten more recognition and a better exit. After, I think the last team he played for was Chicago Aftershock, right? And after he did Ironman for so long.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. The paintball scene has changed tremendously, but we still support it. We still, I mean, we're addicted, right? We're little paintball addicts, and we can't get enough of it. And look at you, you're back,
Yeah, the moment I was thinking about going out to the field, I was like, man, I want to get a private group together. And I was getting on board, getting all my gear again. I sat down and I was like, man, I want to watch serial killers. So I threw that up on YouTube. And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this again. Started even going through my old videos. And I actually came across your video that I did for the group then, for Destiny. And I was like, man, I had a lot of fun doing that and hanging out with all those girls. They were cool. All you guys were all awesome to be around. And, now I go onto your Instagram and I was seeing Destiny in this state, Destiny in this state, and this state, and this state. I was like, holy crap, how many teams are out there now? I was like, man, I got to talk to Bea because I want to know about this.
Yeah. I have always loved the idea of connecting and collaborating with people. And it also has gotten me in trouble because even with War Pig back in the day, and I was working at paintball.com, and I love Bill and Don, but I also love Bert Talcott. And they were kind of butting heads. They were very competitive because they're competitive media.
Yeah.
And, but I try to kind of bring the two together, but it really upset them for me trying to do that. and I got a lecture from it. I'll never forget it too. It really kind of took me by surprise, because I didn't understand that. And the other thing that got me in trouble is when I was doing stuff for PSP. I think it was called PSP at the time. And then I commentated with the guys from PB Live, and it was Ronald, I think was his name. And gosh, I can't think of the other guy's name. I always blow it there. I should know. I think it's Dan. But anyway, we did that with PB Live, and they were the ones to actually bring kind of the webcasting, the pre-webcast to the scene. They were doing kind of like a podcasting thing.
Yeah.
And long story short, I try to connect I try to utilize my commentary skills, not just with them via the PSP. And then it became what it did become. I went back to the MPPL to help out their series.
Yeah.
And then I think it was either Chuck at the time or Sean. But at any rate, when I tried to go back to help out the PSP, they were like, yeah, we don't need you. Even though, again, I really can say this confidently that we, PB Live, were the first to be the commentators. And then we introduced Maddie Marshall to the group. And so then I didn't have that opportunity anymore, but I was still kind of doing other things, and that was fine. And Destiny, I was trying to work on, plus my dad, he was diagnosed with a very rare neurological disorder. I ended up having to go back home to take care of him, so everything happens for a reason. And I don't regret that situation, but it just, again, goes back to the whole idea of me always wanting to bring everybody together, and I feel like when you collaborate and you associate to try to make the pie bigger. And I learned this from JT days, it's so important to understand that don't make it about how big your slice is going to be. Make it how we can make the scene bigger, the actual pie bigger. And then when we get our slices, then we'll be satisfied, because I feel like there's so much opportunity and plenty of people that we can bring into the sport, as a collaboration. So that's what Destiny has become. Because of the people that I've met all these years now, I've been in it for 21 years. I've always been asked the question like, hey, B, do you have a team I can play on? Or do you know of a team? And I'm like, well, I actually do know these two guys and they're looking for 3. So maybe you guys can kind of connect. And then the other thing that we always would do is we wanted to travel overseas. So we connected with Team Australia's Bitchin'. They're an all-female team out there. And I brought a bunch of Destiny jerseys over at the time, and they were all about wearing Destiny jerseys. So we, in essence, created a Destiny Australia.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then we did a World Cup Asia event 2 years in a row, and we created relationships out there. And we had this really cool, like half United States, half Malaysia, but because the Malaysian flag kind of looks like the USA flag, it was so beautiful. And again, we are bridging the gap, creating these relationships and having these opportunities to play this game that we love and go and see places we've never been to. I've been to Australia 8 times because I worked in corporate America and I was working for a Canadian, and we were doing like these cool little like cell phone cards, we'll call them. And I did that for a good year prior to getting into paintball. And then the other 7 times, Eugene, it was because of paintball, right? So what an amazing life. My dad used to pick on me and he would say, Beatrice, you're the most broke, famous person I know, because at the time, like I was even more popular than Mike Paxson was, and then all of a sudden after like 2008, when I took a sabbatical, I was pregnant with BB. My dad had passed away. I 3 years later came back to the scene at 2012 and they're like, oh, you're Mike Paxson's wife. not Bea Youngs anymore,
Yeah. Wow.
And again, in 2008, my last occupation in paintball was the Paintball Sports Magazine's editor-in-chief, right? So my resume is pretty deep. Like I've done heaps and I've worked my butt off to get to where I am now. But again, not a lot of people know that because right, Eugene? People enter the scene and enter social media, even if you're not doing something for a good 3 days and you get forgotten,
Oh,
so
yeah,
you have to kind of constantly post, stay on top of it. And it gets a little like
it's
exhausting,
daunting. It's a
so
daunting thing to do. And I'm just like, I want to do this podcast, but I'm like, oh, that means I got to do Instagram. I got to constantly be posting up on there. And then I got to keep up with this podcast. It is a daunting thing. And it's like, I'm doing it just for the fun of it. I'm not looking to get famous. I know, I mean, this face isn't going to get famous. That's why I'm doing it.
Sure, it is. You're a handsome fella.
Oh, no.
You are.
I got hit by the ugly stick, and but the thing is that you have really been an ambassador for the sport. I mean, from, like you said, from the very beginning all the way to even now, even though you took that sabbatical and you came back just as Mike Paxton's wife.
Yeah.
You got past that. But you've gotten past that, and you're back to, you are, I mean, everybody knows who you are. And for those of you guys out there, all three of you guys that are listening to this, if you don't know who Bea is, then you probably have had your head in the ground. She is everywhere.
Or you could just use the Google. Yeah.
Google her and you will see everything. And, and Google Make It to Sunday. And that's when you can see her video too.
Make It to Sunday. Yes. I even watched the interview that you did with Island Paintball. And again, they adopted one of the Destiny jerseys that we actually retroed back a couple of years ago. Really? And now we've just kind of been adding different color schemes to it. I don't even know how many jerseys we've put out. Like, I feel like definitely 50 different versions, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Again, so, you are everywhere.
Yeah, and I've always tried to do things a little bit differently. And I get, again, people question my reasons, but I've always lived by the whole be different. And that's why paintball was so intriguing to me, because it was different. And when I first saw the sport, I was like, this is a kind of sport that should always evolve, right?
Yeah.
And now we've been doing the X-ball format for 20 years. I believe it's been almost 20 years now. But the first time they debuted this was at the International Amateur Open. Deborah Dion puts this event up in the Northeast area. Mm-hmm. And it's no longer, obviously it's no longer around, but I wish that we could do something like an International Amateur Open again and debut another kind of way to play paintball, just to help it evolve. Again, because I've always felt like it's a futuristic type sport. I even thought that back in the JT days, I'm like, we should have domes where the spectators are high up and they're looking down into this dome, and it's got not necessarily a clear like plexiglass, but something that's like a fish net, kind of like our own netting that we put in our dimension or the circumference of the field. Mm-hmm. But it should be like a clear fishing line kind of netting. So you could still see through it and watch the action down below, but not get splatters hit up on the plexiglass. Like if you were at a hockey game and you see the plexiglass around the, right. So again, I always felt like, man, we should be doing stuff like that back in 2001. Right. And then I even remember when Chuck Hench debuted this, like, pull the curtain at the 50-yard line, because you don't know what kind of bunkers are set up on the other side. Like, we were blind walking fields back in the day, right?
Oh, wow.
Oh, did you see the JT field? Did you check out that car wash? That was amazing. Like, that field was so much fun to play on. And every field had a different look to it. But now we've just we're doing the same looking bunkers. And I just feel like we really kind of can do better, and we should kind of think of ways to help evolve the sport. And so COVID brought some different ways to play paintball because of the whole social distancing thing. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys like Brandon Short came up with Pro Shot, I think it's called, and it's a 1v1, and you have to like hit a buzzer, and then have to get to it before the other guy does, and blah, blah, blah. But at any rate, you could still see the action, but in this COVID environment, you adapted to it, and therefore there is an involvement. So at any rate, I'm hoping that eventually we'll start seeing more change, because it's a necessity. Like, to evolve is to succeed, and it's a very important step in life. So hopefully we'll see more of that soon.
Yeah. Well, I do remember when ESPN was trying to get its hands on the paintball scene, and they were trying to introduce some funky rules. And I remember trying to watch it on ESPN, and I was so lost. And I'm like, I play this sport. I know what's supposed to be going on. So, but the 1v1 was one of the things that I do remember that they did kind of try.
At the ESPN network. Okay.
Yeah. So it was something that I do remember seeing, and even at buzzer. So it's kind of cool to hear that they're trying to bring it back.
Well, like Red Zone, you heard of Almost Famous Paintball League, right? And they do this Red Zone format, and just to kind of explain it as quick as I can, but you start off like your usual. I think it's a 5-on-5.
Yeah.
And your goal is to get to this very difficult to get to buzzer, and you hit the buzzer, but you can't get shot trying to get to it. It's got like a circle on the ground, and you have to get inside of it and then hit the buzzer, but you can't get shot on your way to it. Otherwise it doesn't count. Well, that buzzer lets people back into the field. So say you got your buddies got eliminated. There's like 2 guys that got eliminated, and you only have like 3 people left on the field out of 5. Well, then it lets those 2 guys come back onto the field if you get to that buzzer. You see? And so that's kind of what the Red Zone does. And it's actually got its own culture. You know, I'm really proud of John and what he's doing, but he does get a lot of opposition because sometimes, you know, there's a majority of people out there that don't want anything else but the X-Ball format. But I think there's plenty of room for other formats like Red Zone. And again, any way that we can introduce the idea of paintball to anyone, to support our manufacturers, to support our fields, to support our stores, I think it's important to just kind of have all different facets. And John even takes it beyond that, and he uses the same setup for Nerf Wars. And I think he's also looking into other ways to kind of play the same kind of format, but with other tools outside of just using a paintball marker. So at any rate, as we progress, I'm really hoping that we'll just continually add kind of different facets to the game, because X-Ball to me is no hatred for it, maybe because, you know, I'm older now, but I feel like it's kind of not boring, but it is kind of the same old. And especially if you, right? Go ahead, Eugene.
Oh no, I was just saying that it's a young man sport. I hate to say that.
It is, right. We were talking about that, how the athleticism is definitely, I mean, we've always been athletes.
Yeah.
Even the big guys were athletic, just like in football, right? You see your big, burly, thick, you know, athletes getting out there and getting up on that line and playing defense, right? But yeah, the stature, I feel like we're encouraging them to be shorter. and super skinny and very fast. You know,
when you say super skinny, so I went out and was going to buy a new pair of pants, and I tried on a pair of HK pants. And HK puts out a great product. You know, by all means, I was like, there's nothing bad about them. I put those things on, and it's meant for somebody that is literally built like just a 2x4 all the way around, because I tried bending over and I was all like, everything's hanging out. I can't wear these. I had to take them back because I was like, these pants, I told the guy, I was like, these things were made for like a 15-year-old kid that I don't know. They just don't fit me. And I was like, man, these are my size. It's just sad. But it is, man, you know, it is now a sport that I do see, like we were saying, I was watching the rundown and they were at the Under Armour facility showing how they worked out, getting prepared for an event. So I was just all like, these guys are sponsored by Under Armour, which back in the day, we would have never thought of something like that happening.
Right on.
So I was just like, man, these guys are like full on athletes now.
They are. And again, through really good clinics, if you will, they're called the Paintball Combine. They have created such a standard that it's sometimes it's a little scary, because again, the older people are trying to keep up, and then the first drill on the first day, their head diving into the snake and end up, pulling their shoulder out. And then the $400 that they spent for the weekend, I'm sure they probably prorated it and refunded him some money. But he couldn't, you know what I'm saying? He couldn't do the next 2 days because he was trying to rack up his points, because that's, again, they have a point system. And so everybody gets ranked, and so it can kind of scare people away a little bit, like, oh, dang it, I'm not good enough, and so, again, it serves a different purpose, though. And so, not saying anything negative, but there should still be other ways that you can enjoy the sport, whether it's a 3-on-3 or 1-on-3 or 1-on-1. Well, 1-on-3 would be kind of cool, but a 1-on-1 and then you're 5-on-5, and a roster of 20 people. But even the time trials, have you seen that? Greg Hastings doing with Sonny Lopez and the LA Hitmen. See, the time trials are cool too, because one of the common questions that people ask are, does it hurt? And well, yeah, and then people are like, well, I don't want to do that then. Like, why would I do that? I don't want to get hurt. Yeah. Well, then, but still people enjoy shooting the marker, right? Just like they do in shooting sports. They enjoy like the 3-gun, right? Where you can go to different stations and use your 22 or your 45 or whatever and go and ding, 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 ding. And it's just
all the competitions.
The next station. Right. So same concept, but instead of using real guns that can kill you, you're using a paintball marker or any air-powered thing and shooting targets with a buzzer at the front, which is a timer. It starts the timer, and then you start shooting all these different targets, run to another corner. Around the corner, there's another station set up. Then you got to kind of get down low and go under this tunnel and get through it, all the while kind of doing some cardio, but still trying to be accurate and shooting those targets down. Get to the end of the obstacle course and you shut the timer off, and then you look up and see how quick you did it, and if your accuracy was on point. And that, to me, can also bring out a whole other kind of customer base, again, for our paintball fields and stores and event organizers and et cetera, that are helping to fuel our paintball economy. It just gives you another avenue,
Yeah.
So, and then even NXL had Jelly Ball. They had Sup Air debuting this Jelly Ball pistole, if you will. Yeah. And the children can play with these little Orbeez that come out of the little Jelly Ball pistol. And it hurts a little bit. It does leave a mark, but it goes away a little bit a few hours later. No big deal. And again, it's just another way that you can enjoy a shooting sport.
Which that was actually funny you mentioned that. That was what we spoke about on the last episode that we put up, which we were talking about the Splatmasters that JT puts out, which shoot those. The Splatmasters shoot the 50 cal, and then the Jelly Ball guns that I kept seeing on Thomas Taylor's Instagram that his kids are shooting each other with. And when I was at the field, I noticed these big old headed little people that were walking around. I was like, what the heck? Because they've got these giant masks on. It's these kids, but they've got the chest protectors on and they've got these little pistols. And I was like, what is that? So I looked into it, and more fields are now doing the Jelly Balls and using more of the 50 cals, because obviously 50 cals are shooting at 150 PSI, I think.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt as bad. The shells of those 50 cals they're thinner. So the moment they hit, they break, and it's not like what we play with where we're shooting the 300 and those 68s are leaving welts on us.
Right.
So I'm noticing that more fields are becoming a little bit more open to open up their clientele. So now kids from 6 up can go to a paintball field and use the Jelly Balls, or at 8 years old, they'll let them use the actual 50 cal guns.
And it's all really about the idea of cross marketing, because there's going to be kids that just want to do Jelly Ball. There's going to be others that are just going to want to do individual focus and run the obstacle course in Greg Hastings time trials or the Hitman time trials. And then you're going to have people that want to play the X-Ball format, and do the grind and do the bounce and spend a lot of money on paintballs. And that's just because they can afford to, but it is, at the end of the day, for these businesses, they're trying to produce something that's going to be fun for people, because it is a stress reliever, When
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing something for fun, all you're worried about is, being in the moment.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of these fields, in order to stay afloat, should be incorporating other things that can help, these different sports cross market. Even airsoft. Airsoft has got this thing called Speed QB, and it's a tournament speedball.
Huh.
And we actually are creating a Destiny Speed QB team out in Northern California
Oh, wow.
because we want people to go, who's Destiny and where are these people from? Oh, they play paintball and now they're also going to play airsoft, because again, there is this competition again. Nobody wants to airsoft, is better than paintball and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but why does it have to be like that? Why can't we try to do both? I've talked to some airsoft groups where I'm like, what do you think about like doing an event where we do airsoft against paintball? And then maybe, we'll just see how it goes, or even just have you guys use paintball markers and see how you fare versus us using airsoft marker or guns and see how we fare. Personally, I think us paintballers can excel at airsoft, but we'll cheat our butts off because we're like, no, it didn't count, right? Because wait, we're playing airsoft. I forgot.
It bounced off. It's gone. There's nothing there. You can't see it.
Oh wait, sorry. There's more honor in airsoft, though, I'm sure. But I'm sure there's still some shenanigans that happens in the airsoft scene.
Yeah. Which I just saw something about them putting out balls that actually have paint inside of them for airsoft. So now they're going to incorporate kind of the paint. They're trying to incorporate kind of the marking so you can actually see it instead of just playing by honor. Because
I love it.
Yeah, that is awesome. So you can get marked.
I want to be that chick from Tomb Raider and just go out there with pistols and like work on my fitness and wear the outfit and everything and just, popularize myself once again, make another post. I'm just kidding.
The more you get out there, they're going to know who you are. Come on.
I know, right? Come on now. But yeah, but it literally is, it's so much fun. And again, I like the idea of bridging things together, just to kind of figure out ways that we could get more people introduced to what we do as paintball enthusiasts. And so at the end of the day, that's what it's about. But this progression that we've seen even with Destiny, at the end of 2017, I started to kind of think like, man, I like that we are doing the all female thing again. Mm-hmm. But I also have a lot of people that are men that are friends of mine, and that I want to play alongside. And I'll never forget when Tom Cole of the NXL called me and asked me, "Hey, B, what do you think about doing a ladies division, like a 3-on-3?" And I was like, I don't really like the idea. And and the reason being is because we're segregating ourselves. When at the end of the day, I really feel like a lot of us women that are playing in this sport is fascinated with competing against our male counterparts, because there are some of us that want to have that equal playing field. Now, military, you guys probably go through the same thing where your DNA, whatever is coded within you that you've been brought up to know, is to protect the woman, and so you'll see the girl on the front line and you're like, I must protect that woman, and then you get distracted, you know what I'm saying? But there's a movie called Starship Troopers.
Oh, yes.
You know that movie?
Oh, I love that movie.
It's so funny, but yet the action is so good and the CGI is amazing. And I'm such a fan of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. But you remember in some of those scenes that the women were showering with the guys and it was no big deal. And the girls were all fighting and getting smashed and dead and, well, got to keep going. So it was like I pray that someday, for the sake of women that want to be treated equally, that even don't care if, I want to hold doors open for people, regardless of who they are, young people, old people, handicapped people, healthy people. It's just in my nature to care enough to help somebody out. And so eventually I pray that it does get to that point. where we'll eventually see women on men's pro team rosters.
Mhm.
And that's very, very close to happening. I think it'll happen within at least the next 5 years, because we have a lot of female athletes that are aspiring to become on that pro level.
Well, I definitely could see that with this sport, where the playing field really is level, because if you can shoot and you can move, that's all you need to know. It doesn't matter
Right.
your size. It doesn't matter your gender. It's shoot and move. I don't care if I see a ponytail at the back of it, I'm going to shoot the ponytail, but
Get it.
it doesn't matter who you are. It's a level playing field with this sport. So yes,
Right.
I could see where you're coming from with, you don't really want to do a three, just a female league, because it segregates you.
And listen, I sound like a hypocrite because now we have been doing it. And again, a lot of the females that are part of our organization want to have that experience.
Mhm.
And sometimes it makes them feel more comfortable when they're amidst like-minded and same looking, if you will, like, hey, you have long hair too, oh, you got boobs, cool, it's like,
Well, there are some guys out
like,
there that
that too also have, yes, or women that do not have boobs either, But yeah, without getting sidetracked, I feel like there are women out there that do want to just do for women. And I totally am in support of that. I just don't want to support women that don't deserve to be supported, like your murderers and, like the bad people that honestly, like, just because you're a certain gender doesn't mean you should be supported, especially if you're doing illegal things,
Yeah.
So when I hear people say, like, support all women, well, we should support all humans, we're here on this earth, in my opinion, to help one another. Like, I think a lot of us are missing the point. I feel like, again, if all of us showed more love and made someone's day and made that a point, that things would probably be a lot easier. But even in our political realm, we've, with the whole Trump and Biden thing that we just went through last year. Wow.
Oh.
Right. You're like, this is the craziest thing. This is so entertaining. Like, I don't even want to watch TV anymore because it is all about the ratings and the shock value. And,
it was just a big mess.
A big mess. And that kind of translates into our paintball community, right? Where people are working against each other. And I'm like, you guys, we're missing the bigger picture here. Like, I feel like, yes, we do see a growth in women participating, but I feel like there's a lot more players back in the day, and our participation numbers, I feel, were way more back in the early 2000s to about 2007 versus the number of people playing now. But it's hard to gauge, because where did the Sporting Goods Manufacturing Association go? That's where we were pulling a lot of the statistics. But who's taking the statistics now, guys? We don't even have a paintball manufacturing association. We don't even have a players union. We don't even have a reffing standard or a code for these referees to not be bribed to make bad calls, because that does exist. And I've heard of it recently happening, and that breaks my heart. I'm like, and again, I must be stupid, naive into thinking, like, no, there are biased refs. No way. And again, it's just the treatment of some of our staff, like our referees. And again, there's a better way to do it. And it does exist, but because there's just this monopoly that we've seen, and people are so afraid of opposing this monopoly. And it's like, if we don't even try to do something, even if the person that's trying to make a change for the better, it's hopefully still going to influence what they look at us like, oh, you're the enemy. Because here we're trying to keep our customers, and make our money over here, but we don't want to bring on anything new. And so there's pushback from it. But it should be welcomed, because it gives you conviction, and then you're going to do better because you want to be better than the other guy that's giving you that conviction. Yeah. So this is the same thing. Like, again, we're missing the bigger picture. And I just feel like if we can just kind of, even through Paintball Extravaganza, you've heard of that. Oh, yeah. Where we have these roundtable discussions about what's happening in the scene and et cetera. Like, even that's kind of like nothing ever gets productively done. you
It's
know,
just a
because
big
again,
circle of my opinion.
people are
is
afraid
better
to
than
share
yours.
ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's why, you know, what we're doing with Destiny and me making this now co-ed, we're about the objective of being co-ed with an emphasis on getting more women to play paintball, but encouraging other teams to also, like, instead of coming up to me and saying, hey, B, I got a girl for you. Okay, well, how long has she been playing? Oh, she's only been playing a couple of months. Well, you do know we compete in D3, sometime, you know, D4 or D3. And that means that you have to be playing a little bit longer than a year, unless she's just such an incredible athlete that she can play at the D3 level that quick.
Mhm.
And they're like, and then I'll ask the question like, well, why don't you just play her on your team? Oh, well, yeah, I guess, you know. And I'm like, well, play her on your team because you live with her, you know. Like,
Yeah.
it blows my mind again, because it's the mentality that, you know, we got to just group all the same looking people together. Oh, you all are a bunch of girls. Let's go play it with the girls only. You know, we're in 2021, y'all. Let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah, we had, if you remember, we had a female person, or a female that actually was filming for us. She would go out in the field and she would record, and people would trip out. They're like, she's out there with you guys?
Right.
Yeah. What's the big deal? I mean,
What's the big deal? See, I love that mentality. It's like, what's up with that? What are you perceiving here? And again, I feel like as parents, we're dropping the ball, y'all. Like,
yeah, I mean, if she could hang with us, then by all means, you know, roll up. Come on, let's go.
Right. And even Nikki McEvers, she played on the original roster for Destiny back in 2004 at Huntington Beach, Super 7-man, where there was like 210 teams in a division.
Yeah.
Again, a 7-man roster, good old days. And that's why I feel like there's more people playing back then than now. But at any rate, the Nikki McEvers is now the head coach and coming up with the plays and telling them how to play on the Ironman.
Which
right?
is
so
awesome.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
It's like history has just been made. And so now we're breaking that ceiling, that glass ceiling finally. And hopefully, you know, we're going to see more of that. And I feel like as women athletes, we have to kind of bite our lips a little bit more and work a little bit harder than our male counterparts sometimes, because there always is going to be that person that stereotypes. And so for us to just ignore it is more important than us getting into an argument about it, because you just forgive the innocently ignorant, you know, and you hope that you teach people by observation, like, yeah, it's all good. You know, I'm just going to kind of do my own thing. And eventually when our grandchildren are playing paintball, that mentality is going to be wiped away, you know, and hopefully, you know, we'll finally see that bigger picture and we'll get there. And so in the meantime, yeah, so Destiny we have about 19 different teams right now, whether it's an all-female showcasing line, which will be playing at the Sunshine State Open, April 29th through May 2nd. And it's all younger girls. They're all under the age of 25, except one member, which is Rachel, and she's my age in our 40s. But we pretend like we're still in our late 20s. Yeah, and she still looks amazing. But yeah, and still plays fantastic. She played with us at World Cup when we did the ladies division, and our younger girls beat our more experienced girls. We came in first, and our first place girls have been playing for probably 20, 30 years all put together. Mm-hmm. And our younger girls have only been playing maybe 3 to 10 years, you know, on average about 3 years long. And so it was a very humbling experience to see that these girls were so passionate about the desire to win. And had we won, right, because I was on the older roster, had we won, we would have been like, cool, we won, yay, you know. But these girls like took it to the 9th level, at the 10th level, and there was tears coming out of their eyes. They were so excited and super happy and hugging each other. And I am so thankful that they actually beat us, you know, which says a lot about them and about the future of women playing paintball. Mm-hmm. Because of their capabilities. And so when given the chance, you know, better things can happen. But I feel like if you always serve with righteousness and always do the right thing, then you're going to be blessed for that, right?
Yeah.
Same idea. Right on. Okay. As long as you.
Well, I think they were, crying and cheering and just being like, "Oh my God, we beat Mike Paxson's wife."
Yes, I know. Not Bea Youngs. Beat Mike Paxton's wife. Hey guys.
No, but I think this younger generation, these new kids that are coming up and playing are just amazing.
They learn quick.
Oh, they learn really quick and have that hand-eye coordination down. I don't know how they get it so quick, but it's just insane how these kids are playing now. And not to take anything away from them, but man, they're, it's a whole new generation that's just.
Well, with the advent of smartphones, and now all of us are laying down quite easily in our beds now, right? And we can research a lot and watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to play paintball.
True.
And so I feel like in comparison to when we started out, we had to reference some of the websites. It took forever to load. Do you remember those days? Like now it's like all about how quick can it load. But back then it was like, make it so glamorous and have this slow buffering happening. So this video will finally appear.
Oh, I remember going out and buying Get Better Faster and watching that.
Yep. DVDs, right?
I still have
VHS tapes.
Yes, yes. So all you kids out there, the struggle was real. We had to buy DVDs and put them in, and we couldn't be anywhere to watch it. We had to be at home to watch it.
Right.
And, you guys got it lucky. You guys can be on
totally
your phone,
so lucky.
Tablet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean. I don't like you either. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's been such a journey, and my husband kind of makes fun of me because I'm a total nerd and he's like a jock. And how we got together, that whole opposites attracting definitely is us. Even when we go to paintball events, still to this day, he goes his way, I go to mine. I have my friends, he's got his, and we're not like the couple that holds hands and like, we're together, and we're completely content with that. I think that actually gives us some more strength, as a marriage, and it works for us in that respect. But with how we think about destiny and what our contributions are to the paintball scene is because of the fact that we're together and we have two beautiful children because of it. I personally want to leave a legacy behind that I can be very happy about. God bless Tim Montresor. He has always been and will continue to be somebody that I inspire to be like. And he started that ICPL, ICC, and what is it called? Iron City Classic. Thank you. I'm a little tired and I'm also older now, guys, so I don't remember everything. But I'm Mike Paxson's wife. But yeah, Tim. But Tim, man, he was my Korean brother, and I would always say "안녕하세요," and he'd be like "konnichiwa." I was like, dude, that's not Korean. He's like, I know, because I'm actually an adopted Korean, I miss him so much, but his spirit still lives within all of us that admired his ethic.
Yeah.
And he worked so hard, and he was just a 100%. He was married to paintball. Oh, and to me, he is our paintball savior. I always looked at him like that. Like, this guy is so awesome. And he always took time for people and messaged anybody back that had a question for him, So when this COVID hit and then we learned about his passing, it really hit home. It brought this whole COVID situation into like, oh wait, this really is real, y'all. Like Cardi B said, that S is real, It is real, Cardi. Yep, you're right. That's why, again, we stay home with our kids, because of this situation. But yeah, Tim is on all of our jerseys. We had a logo that was designed by Evan Lerman of Inflict Media, and I'm committed now to every single jersey made by Destiny from this point forward will always have, Tim Montresor's logo on it on our national jersey. And so, having mentors like Tim and seeing even some of these OG guys come back to play mechanical paintball, it's just been such a great journey. And so we want to still continue to be a part of it, even though sometimes it is easier, Eugene, to kind of think about like, man, I could just do my real estate thing because I'm a real estate agent out here, and just live out the rest of our lives here in the mountains of Montana and just take care of one another and occasionally go to a paintball event here and there, because we don't make any money off of paintball. We literally do not. Like, everything that we make in essence just goes right back into the organization or whatever it is we're trying to raise money for. Like Tracy Perez, I don't know if you know who she is, but she worked for Chris Rail and did stuff for the PSP and the APPA system and did registration. She also had her own league down in Florida that she helped manage. But she had something life-threatening happen to her.
Oh, wow.
And I actually try to do a podcast. I just don't have a lot of time. Like you said, it's hard for me to schedule it and then be committed to doing it consistently.
Yeah.
And so I wish you all the luck in the world with this thing. But again, we do fundraising events, for doing things like people like Tracy, that should be recognized for all the wonderful things that she's done for our paintball world. And she's part of our team now.
Oh, nice.
And so, now we're about 150 plus members strong. And we went from being 8 all-female roster in 2018 to 150 plus members with 19 different regional teams or showcasing teams. Like, we'll do a Destiny Kids or we'll do a Lady Destiny with an all-female line, with just the sole purpose of just showcasing how cool it is to see these children or these amazing women play, just to kind of give them a platform to be seen.
Awesome. That is awesome.
You should come play sometime too, Eugene, if you ever want to just jump on one of our teams. We're doing a Destiny Unite in Florida, where it's throw together. And I got a couple of guys coming from Destiny Midwest. I got a couple from Destiny Montana, which is me and this kid named Zach that lives here. We call ourselves Destiny Montana.
Nice.
And then we have
too strong, huh?
Right. And then we have a guy from Destiny, Florida, one of my good friends, Adam Bullis, who helped me build Destiny, Florida, and it's still going strong. And what I love the most is actually bringing on brand new people that have never played paintball before.
Oh,
that to me is the true meaning of #GrowPaintball. And even though like a lot of these teams, like we are still podium finishing. Nice. We will go and play like mech or 3-man. We play everything but X-Ball until now this season. Now we have 2 X-Ball teams all of a sudden playing in D3 X-Ball and D4 X-Ball. But I've always wanted to support the other divisions, like your 3-mans and your mechanical and your mounds and your 10-man, because to me, it just feels more nostalgic, I think. And it's just more fun, in my opinion. X-Ball has become a business. Like, it gets super competitive and sometimes very stressful and bankrupting, like,
well, all I see is
how much did we just spend on paint?
When those guys are just pulling the trigger, all I'm seeing is dollars just flying out there, the tips of those barrels. I'm like, oh my God, how much are they spending on paint?
Oh my Lanta. I know. And that's why I'm like, we got to make this more entertaining somehow, guys, so we can get this televised on some, streaming platform like Netflix or Amazon Prime or something. Just so, again, we could hopefully make things a little bit less expensive. But now with gas prices going up, what does that mean, right? Now with that stupid ship that jacked itself up in the Suez Canal. Prices are going to go up.
Don't get me started on that, because I'm already feeling it as I'm having to drive all the way to work.
Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous.
I know. Yes, it can always be worse though, Eugene.
It can. You could get the COVID shot and become a zombie, but that's just me.
That's right.
But you know what? We're coming up on our time, but I want to find out, what do you have coming up? What events do you want to throw out there so all 4 of our listeners hear it? And
hi, 4 listeners.
One of them is my mom.
Thank you for listening. Hi, Mom. Thank you for birthing Eugene. He's amazing. Eugene, you've done so many good things for Destiny. And just again, like, I went and did a little blast to the past. And I watched some of your videos and seeing even, God, Paul Shelley even made a comeback and played with us a year and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yep. And his dad lives down in Florida now. And so speaking of Florida, this weekend, April 10th through the 11th, the Maximum Velocity Paintball Series is having their event take place. And Destiny is going to, our Destiny national team, just Destiny, they're going to be debuting this upcoming weekend. And then the next event, let me also say that Destiny Florida, we have a rookie squad. They're also going to be competing this weekend in the MVPS. Then shout out to, Pat Simmons and Jamie Wilson, and Brent and all the guys that are helping make that happen. Thank you so much. Mikey D. Montigny, I always say his name wrong. I'm probably butchering it now, but Mikey D is heading up the X-Ball team. They're playing D3 X-Ball in the MVPS.
Oh, wow.
And so April, and then following that, which is only April 29 is just a couple weeks later, they're going to be playing in the Sunshine State Open, brought to you by the National X-Ball League. And we'll also have probably 5 or 6, possibly 7 other Destiny teams playing at that event. We have Lady Destiny and D4 5-man. We have Destiny Army playing in 10-man. We'll have Destiny Mech playing in the Classic, which is just your 5.5 balls per second, playing with mechanical markers. And then we'll have a couple of 3-mans. Then we have Destiny Unite, which I'll probably roster myself on and play alongside my Destiny Midwest, Destiny Montana, and Destiny Florida members. And we just throw it together as Destiny Unite and play in D4 5-man. So those are the things that are going to be coming up, and would really appreciate it if you guys can like and follow our pages at Instagram and at Facebook at Destiny Paintball. That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Definitely. If you guys are listening to this, definitely follow. Look her up. Look up Bea Young, so you know who she is, not Mike Paxson's wife.
Not Mike Paxson's wife, Bea Youngs Paxson.
Bea Youngs Paxson.
Yes.
Sorry, I left out the S. But look her up. Look up all the awesome stuff that she's done. Definitely go on to, of course, Instagram. I was about to say IG, but somebody cringed the last time I said it because I'm apparently too old to be calling it IG.
I'm too old too. I'm allowed. Okay. It's IG. Whatever, children.
But look her up.
Instagram has 3 syllables in it. Okay. IG's easier. But yeah, look us up. Thank you.
Definitely look them up. Look up Destiny and look up Bea and follow her. Even look up, her husband, Bea Young's husband, Mike Paxson.
Yeah, he does a lot of fishing out here. So you'll see a lot of fishing, skiing, hunting, and duck hunting too.
You just hit my heart right now with fishing.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna have to come up there and go fishing.
Well, if you don't come, I'll be very disappointed, but you're always welcome to come and stay with us, and Mike will take you out on the boat. Absolutely.
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, Bea, it has been awesome to be able to see you again.
Thank you.
It's been so long. I mean, it's literally been, you stopped in 2008. We were done by 2000. I think we were done in 2011 as far as Sunday clothing, behind the mask and all that stuff. So it's been a while, but it's awesome to hear from you and just everything that you've done is just amazing. You are definitely, you're awesome, Bea. There's no other way to describe you, but
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for saying that. I love the paintball world and the community, and it's blessed me with so much. And so it's the least I can do. And there's going to be some really cool things coming up in 2022. So again, please watch our journey. I try to be funny, but some people don't think I'm so funny, but at least come in and just check out what a lot of these Destiny players are doing to help the scene and to help grow paintball.
Definitely, you guys. So this has been another wonderful episode for you guys that are out there listening to us of Behind the Mask. Get out there, support your local fields, support your local stores, because especially during this last year, it's been tough for everybody. And as we were joking about COVID, but it's also a real thing. It's hit businesses pretty hard. And I want to say, get out there, support. If you're a small team, hit us up. Behind the Mask Media on Instagram, and we would love to interview you guys and see what you guys are up to. And, you know, also, hey, get a hold of B if you guys are looking for a team or something.
Yeah, I actually forgot to say, Eugene, that also this weekend, our D4 X-Ball team out of NorCal, they're recruiting players from all over the state of California because we're going to have SoCal practices too. But we're looking to recruit D4 X-Ball players and also brand new players. We have a rookie squad that we're building and no experience necessary. So if you want to be recruited and play with our rookie team, you're on. Let's go. This weekend at Capital Edge Paintball in Northern California. That's Dave Baines' field. April 10th, Shane Pistana, who's a legend, is going to be with Mike Paxson. Saturday only, though. They're going to be coaching and recruiting. And then on Sunday, our coach, Norman Wu and Carl Miller. He's a U.S. Navy officer, and he's also one of my besties. He's also a big reason why Destiny is succeeding right now. So go out and check him out. If you're in the Northern California area, come see us this weekend at CEP.
You know what? I saw that.
You better go.
I mentioned it and then I got shot down and I was all like, oh.
Oh, wifey was like, no.
Yeah, it was like, you're going to want to get on a team. You're already, I was like, never mind. I don't want to play paintball anymore. But
right on. Thank you, Eugene.
All right, B. It was wonderful. It was awesome. As always, this has been Behind the Mask, and definitely listen to us, and we're out of here.